Alrighty, boys and girls. So on Wednesday, August 7, I caught Nero CTO early on my Discord, as you can see here. And we got into it early on before everyone else, before the news, before Binance news, before all of that. And in today's video, guys, because this is a very important case to study, because a lot of people are asking me, how did I get into it early? What really happened? What was I doing? And how did I find it? And most importantly, there is a lot to learn from this. And I do think this gonna be very valuable for many people. And we're also gonna go through coins that are ready to do the same, right? And what's gonna happen in the market. So with no further ado, let's get into today's video. And you know what to do. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And remember, nothing is financial advice. This is for entertainment and some education. So on Discord, on my Discord, which is free to join, by the way, free to join, link in the description. Wednesday, August 7th, right? I told my people on Discord, I like this Nero CTO. This is very important. What was going on back then? We had the other Cabal Nero going on, right? It was already at $100 million in its market cap and stuff like that. So all I said was, could see a major run if the main Nero on ETH crashes. So keep that in mind because this is very important. Nero on ETH crashes. This is very important. The other one, the Cabal one, if that one crashes. And also I said small DCA unless we get a big dip to accumulate more. Why? See that. So that's Wednesday, August 7, what was happening in the chart on Nero here. So let's pull up that price notes, and this is the 7th of August, as you can see. So the price was around 3.94 million. So it's just went on a nice rally, right? It went around $15 million in its market cap, then seen a drop. That was when I noticed it, right? When it did that. And then I started looking into it. So what I did was, now that it's at around 3.4 million, that's a good dip. But if it goes lower, that could be even better. And that's what I said here. People were asking me, what should we do? What should we do with that? I said 2 million or below. That's the target where we start buying Nero CTO. Then it went to $2 million in its market cap, right? So now the main thing here, people will think I'm a genius, right? Because I caught it at 2 million and it went to Binance. Maybe I'm a Binance insider. Maybe I know something that people don't know or something like that. Well, this is something we all need to know, right? What I do is I wake up every day and I look at the markets and I look at the screen and I look at what's going on. And the things I look at, from what I noticed, are very different from what everybody looks at, right? So if you can see here, when I shared Nero, people were starting to ask about there is supply, snipers and stuff like that. What's going on? The usual token sniffer and stuff like that. And those things I actually don't look at all, right? Because those things are just noise, right? So this is the first thing, and the most important thing is most people now learned, right? Something new now in the market, right? It's token sniffer. I need to check what's going on, who is holding the supply, what's happening, and that's not what gets a coin pumping, or that's not something I really do care about. Those token sniffers and those whatever on-chain gymnastic people do are just distractions, right? And they only tell you if the coin is gonna rug or not. That's what they answer. The question that they answer is, will this coin rug? So you wouldn't know. Even with token sniffer and even with all that stuff, the only way you would know if a coin would rug or not is time. And this coin has been around for already some time, since that $2 million in its market cap. So the rug thing and checking token sniffer was useless by that time, right? So it's been around 13 days. If the devs wanted to rug, it would have happened at around 17 million, or it would have happened after launch. It went to 7 million. It would have already rugged, right? But because those things are used by, they're simple basically, and they sound smart because people are looking into on-chain and it feels like you're doing something important. It makes you feel like you're actually improving, right? Or it makes you feel like you're doing something. And it gives influencers and people on Twitter and whatnot something to show for, right? It's something I taught my people today to look at token sniffer and bubble maps and distribution. Now they feel better, right? They're smarter, right? Because that's just a feel good thing. It's not what you really should be looking at, right? I don't look at that at all, right? In some real cases, like if the coin is just 1 day old, then I'm looking, right? And I'm mainly looking if it's a honeypot, if I can buy and sell. Rugs, they may happen 10 years later, or they happen the first day. They don't happen once the coin starts trading and it's been around already here 13 days. So that's the first thing, right? What people look at. The second thing is, since we've seen with Nero, which is a very important thing, since we've seen pump fund and stuff like that on Sol, and I noticed pretty early on, right, that Solana coins are not the good coins to buy, right? Solana coins and other chains coins are not the good coins to buy because of pump.fun and the dilution and the amount of coins that are launched every day, and everybody is, the attention is spread. So there is not enough money to go around for all those meme coins, and especially the amount of attention, and these meme coins need attention. So this is very important. Those are the things I look at. Liquidity, right? So what is liquidity, right? It's not the thing you see here. Liquidity means, is there enough money circulating on that blockchain to pump a coin? That's what I look at. So on Solana, there is enough money to pump a coin, but that money spread around through many multiple coins that a coin like Nero here cannot survive on Solana, and we've seen that. There were 2 Neros on Solana and they couldn't survive. Not because the token sniffer or the devs, or it's because of this major basic thing, which is dilution in the market. That's very important. So then I'm only spending my time when I'm researching on ETH, only ETH, because people still ask me, what do you think about Solana, this Solana coin? What do you think about this coin here? What do you think? I only look at ETH, right? So slowly we're gonna build up towards, did I expect it to go to Binance or not? So stick around, this is important, right? So I only look at ETH, very important. So since I only look at ETH, and I noticed that ETH coins are the ones that pump and see those huge gains, and most importantly, they don't have the Gitlana fever, I'm only looking at ETH. So since I'm only looking at ETH now, Nero came in my mind, right? So this is important. We had 2 Neros on ETH. We had one which is the Cabal coin, let's call it the Cabal coin, which ran quick to 100 million, which I shared with you in the previous video. If you looked at it, that it went straight to 100 million. So for me, that's a big no. I'm not looking at it unless you give me a dip like this one did, right? Unless you give me a dip, then I'm gonna be looking at it. No dips, forget about it, right? It's gonna stay on my watch list until someday I see it's down like 90%. When the normies and the token sniffer checkers are out and everybody freaked out, that's when I step in, right? So there was the Cabal one I didn't look at. Then there was this Nero. So why was I looking at Nero in the first place? Why was I looking at it? Well, we seen the news that Dogecoin, the actual Doge that is in the Dogecoin logo, died, and the owner now has a new dog that is called Nero. So now we have something called the narrative, something like what we do today with Pepe-verse coins, right? Pepe coins, Pepe related coins. It's a narrative. So now I have a narrative. So remember, first thing we do is we want to be on ETH. The second thing we want to do is the narrative. That's important. What's the narrative of today? What's the most bullish narrative? So we have ETH, then we have the Pepe-verse narrative. Obviously, this one is a long term, and I'm coming back to that. Then we had the Nero. So I noticed that now we have a new narrative in the market. So let me find the next one here, right? Let me find something early. I don't want to be the guy buying at $100 million and starting to talk about the price predictions on that coin forever. I want to be the guy buying at 2 million, right? And waiting for it to go to Binance or big exchange and stuff like that. So since we had the actual narrative happening, so this is how I go, right? This is how I think. I'm not looking into token sniffers. I'm not looking who is buying. I'm not looking at all that. I'm looking at these things, right? I'm looking, the coin is in ETH, right? There is a narrative. Obviously, it's a strong narrative. Is the Dogecoin narrative and stuff like that. There is that. So the second thing I'm looking at is the community, right? So if you look at the message, what did I say and why I got interested into this one, and this one is key, and this is key. I like the Nero CTO. It was a CTO, right? It could see a major run if the main Nero on ETH crashes, because back then that Nero here, this CTO Nero, was viewed as not a good one, and everybody was, the normies, right? They were buying Nero, the Cabal one, because of high volume, it's pumping and showing all that decency and all that stuff, right? It was pumping, people were buying it. So what did I say, right? It could see a major run if the main Nero on ETH crashes. So could see a major run if the main Nero on ETH crashes. Why is that? So the second thing I'm doing, because I'm spending a lot of time in the market, I'm also paying attention to the market. And so you all remember Breton Base, right? And what happened with Breton Base? While everybody was freaking out and everybody was talking, enjoying the drama on Twitter, right? What happened back in the days, right? While everybody everybody was freaking out in frenzy and hysteria and whatever, Breton Base went to $800 million in its market cap. If you all remember what happened back then, they started talking about the cabal, right? It was cabal coin, and the cabal holds supply, and the normies started to freak out because the normies, what they do is they look at the news and they behave according to the news, and the market knows that. And since I know the market knows that, I want to know what the normies are gonna do, right? And because the normies, when they move in tides, they move all together, and this means money coming, and this means I can place myself before that. So let me make it simple for you. So what happened to Breton Base? It had a FOD and went down to $200 million in its market cap, right? Around here, $300 million in its market cap. What happened back then, right? If you were back then in the market, you had no excuse not to notice this, but I noticed it, right? And I kept it in my mind because now I know the market behaves this way, right? Because now we see the normies kind of shift with the news. So what happened in that day here, guys? Breton Base crashed because of the cabal news, the FODs and stuff like that, and people were talking about it. And on that same day, we had coins on it, Pepe-verse related coins. They started pumping, right? They started pumping off the back of that news because people from Breton Base started freaking out and went and started buying the other ones. And that was my thesis here, right? If the other cabal Nero falls or crashes, the CTO one will rise. And also because I know long term the cabal coins, right? They don't last long because at some point they're gonna move to the next one because they are too good. Basically, they are too good. Why would they stick to one coin? They will do multiple coins anyway. So I remember this happened. So in my mind, I was like, this Nero CTO now is at $3 million in its market cap. It might go even lower. It is a very good risk to reward ratio right now, right? It's at 2 million. And at any point, we're going to see the other Nero having FOD, right? The other Nero will start having FOD. And by the way, there was some bubble map FOD somewhere here for it, right? Somewhere for the other cabal Nero, they had FOD around the bubble map, started FODing them and stuff like that. This one started pumping. Then little did I know, Vitalik tweeted about it and then it pumped, right? I also told my people on Discord, if you are taking profits, leave a bag for the long term, because I knew this was gonna be a long-term play. Why? Because of the narrative, right? So that's what kept me holding longer, and that's what people don't know as well. When you are on a long-term narrative, you are much better holding than trying to take profits early, because you see what happened late, right? That's the most important. Now I know if I should hold the coin longer or not based on the narrative and based on the community. I know community coin lasts long because of the community. They keep pushing it. They all have a small portion of the supply, not like the cabal. So they all are driven more to keep pushing the coin than the cabal, right? And because on narrative, Nero, Dogecoin, we know that that's a strong narrative, right? And that's why I'm still holding the majority of the bag, or I kept holding the majority of the bag here. And I did not expect it to go to Binance. The only reason I hold is because of the narrative. And a lot of people don't put a lot of emphasis into this, especially new people. When they come into the market, they want to flip quick. They want to be smart. You want to be checking token sniffer. If the dev doing this, is the art good? Is this, is that? And I'm just gonna wait until it's like 2x and I'm gonna exit without actually researching the narrative, without understanding what is the narrative, what is the blockchain, right? And what happened in history, what happened back in the days, and what the market reacts to, and what we usually see in the market, without knowing on none of that, while concentrating on useless information like bubble maps and token sniffers and stuff like that, which a lot of people, because of they were trading, pump fund and stuff like that, they got these bad habits now of looking too much into on-chain stuff and not looking so much into the actual most important stuff, which is what I just explained. Now, when it comes to that Binance listing, did I expect that to happen? No. But what I did to expect to happen, that this thing is gonna go high over time because of the narrative, because it's on it, and because it's a community-driven coin. That's why, right? I expected it to go higher over time. And this is when it comes to patience, which most people don't have patience. Like if this thing took a year or two, I would still be holding it, right? I would still be holding it because I know this narrative is gonna play out, right? So patience is key, and which people don't have in this market. I did not expect the Binance. It's just that my thesis played out earlier than I expected, right? I was shocked by the Binance news, right? But my thesis was correct, right? That's the most important. My thesis was correct. My thesis of look into CTOs, look into community coins on it with a strong narrative, you will be winning, right? And that's what I was going off, right? I wasn't expecting a Binance listing. I I was expecting this to play out. It's just that the Binance listing just made it faster, right? The Binance listing just made it happen faster than expected, right? But the thesis is the most important. That's why Binance listed it also, right? Because Binance knows what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing. They're looking into CTO, community-driven coin, and they are looking into narrative, and that's what they did. They also know what they're doing. So what I am doing might be right? Might be the same things is Binance is thinking about, right? And what most people that been in the space for a while think about, because they've seen that, right? And they know what's going on. They're not looking into token sniffers and what the arts and stuff. They're looking into the actual most important thing, right? And that's what I explained here. Now, recently as well, I called another coin which is related to the Nero narrative on Sunday, September 8th, right? And this is the link. If we copy that link, right, and we put it back in here, and this coin is Go or Goo or whatever, however you pronounce it, is also on that Nero narrative, and it goes by the same way I picked up Nero. I picked up this one as a second play on it, or a derivative play on it. Now, by the way, don't go buy any of that now, right? So I'm just explaining to you, right? So when you see this, right, when you see this and you look into that, like most people would look into that, they will go again on token sniffer, they will go again looking onto some things that have nothing to do with what actually pumps a coin. I was looking at that. Now, the reason why is because, guys, narrative is important. Again, it's the same thing, right? Eat, I'm only spending time on eat, right? I wake up in the morning, I have a coffee, right? I have a coffee and I go on Deck Screener and I screen eat, and I know which narrative I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for Pepe-verse and I'm looking now for Nero, right? Even more, I'm more bullish on Pepe-verse, and I'm gonna come to that, but this is how I found it. Now, this is important. This is a very educational for people. So it was here, 135. So we made over 20x on this. But just so you know, why did I get into it? Because I was looking for Nero narrative coins, and there were very few, because it's ETH. Thank God it's not Solana. It's ETH. There were very few. I couldn't count more than like 7 or 6 that were decent enough, right? And most people will look at it here and think this is dead, right? This is ROG, this is stuff like that. But that's why also it was a high risk. But what got me into it, because I've been looking at it for a long time. I've seen its launch, I've seen what's happened, I've seen what people were saying, I've seen the hype at the highs. It was at $3 million in its market cap. I've seen all that, and I've seen the G thing, and I see it going down, and I've seen all that. But what kept me looking at it is it's floored right here at around like 180k. Like, this is very low prices, right? It stayed here, and I was like, this is a Nero narrative. Their Telegram is still active, their Twitter is still active, and there is still some volume, right? There was still some volume here. If we look at on the daily, there was still some volume, like 10k, 20k in volume, which is pretty surprising. Like, who is still buying this at these lows, right? Who is doing that? Who is buying? So in my mind, I was like, this is a good risk to reward. It's at 100k, whatever. It's a degen play. We can get into it. And then actually I call it here. So the 8th of this was, let's look at that here. So Sunday, September 8th, right? Sunday, working on a Sunday, by the way. So Sunday, September 8th here. And then it pumped a little bit, right? And then it went down, right? So here it pumped a little bit. Some people were asking me if they should take profit. I was like, no, I'm still holding. I'm waiting for this, right? I'm still waiting for it to pump. I do think it's not worth it. Like, it's not worth it literally to get in at 100k and get out at 400k. We're not on Solana. We're not trying to do a 4x, and that's not what we're doing. That's literally not what we're doing, right? We're playing a very, very well planned game, and that's what I'm trying to show here. So then it did this. Then it stayed up for a while here, right? It stayed up for a while. Like, how long since the call, right? It went for like 10 days, right? 10 days. Like, people will say, oh, maybe it's dead, maybe it's not gonna pump, right? Maybe it's not gonna happen, which, granted, this is more risky, right? But what kept me holding is important to actually look at. First is we got this pump, right? And there was a lot of volume here, guys. So this was like 13k in volume, 91k. There was a lot of volume. And also I've seen something that was pretty bullish, and that's basically just charts. You see this low here, we had a higher floor, and this is very important when it comes to meme coins. It means like people are looking at this price here and they want to buy around this. They don't want to be the guys buying high, right? So they were waiting for it, and you can see this, like, it kind of floored for 10 days. It was like just trading around here, and I was like, maybe there is another shot, there is another push up coming for that. I was expecting lower, but to be honest with you guys, I was expecting it to go to like 3 million, 4 million, which is now where it's at, but it went as high as 6-7 million. It might even go higher, right? But if you missed it, you missed it. By the way, if you're on Discord and you missed it, right? Just to show you my train of thought, how we can make those gains regularly, right? So ETH, right? And then narrative is very important, right? Because that's what makes you think, should I keep holding or should I not be holding, right? And by the way, I also told my people here, like, we did not take full out profits, right? I'm still holding like half a bag from this in case it goes higher. But for Nero, I'm holding more because I know that's the main narrative, right? That's the main narrative. It's like the difference between Pepe and Pepe 2 or Pepe 3, right? So narrative is important when you're looking at things. Narrative is very important. Now we have the Nero narrative, we have the actual Trump and Politify narrative, and we have the Pepe-verse narrative. Now, when you look at this, right, you understand why I'm real bullish on Brett ETH, right? This is as well a CTO on ETH, not a cabal coin, the same thing like Nero CTO, right? And that is why I do think this thing is gonna run like Nero, and even higher, because this is the Pepe-verse narrative, which is the strongest narrative ever, right? So the Brett on ETH. Then you want to make sure, because of this is a strong narrative, there are other Bretts on ETH trying to grift, and those are cabals, right? You want to make sure that you are on the CTO one, which is this one, and I'll leave you the link in the description for those, so just that you don't go on the wrong one, or join my Discord, link in the description. But anyways, that's why I'm actually bullish on this, right? Brett on ETH. It's the same thing, guys, right? It's just that with Nero CTO, my thesis played out early. With this one, it's gonna play out at some point, and it's gonna be big, right? It's gonna play out, right? It's the same thing. And especially with Bitcoin looking like that, right? Bitcoin looking like it's ready to fly as well and start a bull market. This is also is very important, right? The same way here, guys, when we started breaking out, I caught Pepe early, then BONK, then Toshi at $2 million in its market cap, right? Then Ladies very early, then many coins, that so many that I just can't recall all of them. And now we're calling again, we're catching, even in this like choppy conditions, we're catching coins. And most importantly, as you can see, as soon as Bitcoin reclaimed that 63K, we started seeing pumps in the market. And this tells you that as soon as we're gonna see this, a lot of these coins are gonna be pretty high because they are performing very well right now when the market is bad. A lot of these coins, once Bitcoin is gonna be at 73K, break above previous all-time high and starts running high, these coins are gonna fly, right? And the same thing here with Brett ETH and many other Pepe-verse coins I shared with you, right? The thesis is gonna play out, right? This is why patience is important, right? Patience is key, and that's the most important thing, right? Patience is the most important, right? So you have ETH, you want to be on ETH, you want to be on a strong narrative, right? You want to be on a strong community coin, right? And then you want to have patience, right? Forget about the pump fun and going on chain and being that detective and looking for things, that mental gymnastic, just to avoid actually doing the right thing, right? All that just to avoid being patient. And that's how people make it big in this market, not by going and trying to flip for pennies and trying to be the smart ass and start looking at token sniffers and stuff. Not like that. You actually need to actually spend time in the market. You actually need to be following the market and understanding what the retail is up to, what's the narrative, what's the hottest narrative, where the money is at. Should I be on ETH? Should I be? And then being patient, which most people don't want to do. That's how it's actually done. That's how it's actually done, guys, right? And then maybe Brett ETH on the future gonna get listed on a big exchange, and it would be like, oh, Zach, now you're so right about it. And I was like, it's just that my thesis played out. It doesn't mean I was expecting a big exchange listing. It just means my thesis played out finally, right? It might take 6 months, it might take 3 months, it might take 1 year, but it played out finally. The same thing with Nero, right? If Nero took a year, I would be fine with that, right? It was a huge run, right? It's a huge run, right? A lot of money. So it's the same thing with Brett ETH now, still at under $10 million in its market cap. It's very undervalued. All this is gonna play out, and the main reason why this is the strongest narrative, right? That's the last thing here, guys, that you want really to understand is narrative, right? Narrative is everything in this market's attention, right? Narrative gets attention, and that's what we are playing for, and we want to do it early, preferably before everyone else. That's the most important, right? With Nero, we had to wait for the actual news to come out that the Nero lady now has the Dogecoin lady has a new dog that she named Nero. We actually had to wait for it. With the Pepe-verse narrative, we don't have to wait for it. We just have to be smart enough to think about it, right? Because Pepe is gonna flip Shiba Inu, so then what's gonna happen? That's the reasoning. What's gonna happen when Pepe is gonna flip Shiba Inu? Think about it. What's gonna happen? what's gonna happen. Like, drop the token sniffer for a while now. What's gonna happen when Pepe is gonna flip Shiba Inu? Pepe, once he's gonna flip Shiba Inu, is gonna start a narrative called the Pepe-verse. People are gonna wanna know or find the next one, and especially cheap ones. They will not want to find another Pepe at 1 billion. They will not want that. They will want the cheapest. In technical terms, it's called market pricing. The market prices the assets to their true value, right? Sometimes you hear this asset is undervalued. Sometimes you hear this asset is overvalued. That's what it means. The market is pricing things. So when we look at Brett Ether, for example, it's undervalued compared to the narrative, which is Pepe-verse, which is the top coin in it, is at $3.4 billion in its market cap. And once the market is going to price this in by finding out or by finally believing, because the market, remember, retail moved in the same direction, like with Brett on base, once they started having the FOB, everybody moved in the same way. They all behaved the same way. People are not so different. People, especially retail, because they have no knowledge in the market, they just come in, they just hear noises and they go off news, right? They all behave the same way. They see FOB, they all start selling. They see good news, they all start buying. So once they're gonna see Pepe flipping Shiba Inu, what they're gonna do, they all gonna start buying Pepe-verse coins. That's the major, most important narrative of this cycle when it comes to meme coins. Pepe flipping Shiba Inu, which is gonna happen, right? Which is gonna happen. It's slowly going there, right? It's slowly. Pepe is at 3.4 billion. Shiba Inu is at $8.5 billion in its market cap. Once that's gonna happen, forget about dogs. It's only gonna be the Pepe-verse. We're gonna live that. Maybe that narrative is gonna last for 3, 4, maybe 6 months, and this is when we're gonna see the pricing of these Pepe-verse coins going to billions, right? And that's what we're playing for here, guys. So this whole thing here, guys, is to learn something from that Nero call of mine, right? Remember, for now we're looking at ETH, coins on ETH. We're looking at narratives. The strongest narrative by far now is Pepe-verse, right? Is the Pepe-verse. The second one is Nero, right? We don't know still. We still have to see how Nero is gonna perform. So just don't go off that. If you're late on Nero, you're late, right? We still have this narrative has to still be tested by time, right? Pepe-verse narrative has already stood the test of time. Nero, we still don't know. The second and the third is Trump narrative or Politify, right? Which is wrecked right now, right? Like, it's completely wrecked. I'm still looking for coins on that narrative. I'm doing my best, but it's wrecked. Like, there is no volume there. It's hard to guess. It's those are the narratives now when it comes to meme coins, right? Right. So there are some other narratives, right? So I just follow the strength. I don't care. There are some individual little narratives here and there, right? If you scroll down here, there is dogs on, like, whatever. You got the ordinals, you got Mog, you got like Chinese Pepe, which is basically a Pepe-verse coin. You got Turbo, right? You got those separate individual narratives. You got this Giga Chad, which is another narrative, NPCs. Those are individual narratives that we actually cannot predict, right? And if you want to do this the right way, you want to do something that you can predict, or you have a big chance to predict, rather than go into some narrative that you don't know how it's gonna play out in the future. And that's about it here, guys. And most importantly, with everything when it comes to cryptos, is patience, right? It's patience. That's the most important. And that's funny enough because, you know, guys, here at the low at 49k, what the most question I had on Discord was, what is the exit strategy? And you know what, I was pretty sure that was the bottom, because everybody was asking about exit strategy, and mostly people that joined in 2024 that bought the top, they started asking about exit strategy, which means they were trying to sell here. And most importantly, you know what was my answer to that question? What is your exit strategy? I was like, dude, what is your entry strategy? Why you're wasting your time thinking about exit strategy? What is your entry strategy? What is it? What are you even doing? Are you even buying? What you already thinking about exit strategy? Have you made money already? Right? While what you should be doing is thinking about entry strategy, which I just shared with you now. And if you were doing that instead of freaking out about exit strategy, you would have caught Nero instead. And that's very important. Exit strategy is gonna come. Now we are heading toward a bull market, which means you should be actively looking into entries, not exits. Patience, right? Patience. And look into entries, not exits. Exits are gonna come. Bitcoin possibly now heading toward a bull market, right? Bitcoin at 100k. What do you think is gonna happen to these coins here, guys? They're gonna fly, right? They're gonna fly. And then you would have to think about exit strategy, right? And I always share with you like my time frame, which I do think gonna be around April next year, or maybe June, July, right? We're gonna have to see what's gonna happen, but that's very down the line. That's way down the line. right? That's way down the line. No need to be wasting time thinking about it now. Now it's time to look for entries in the market, right? And if you're so scared, just don't get into cryptos, because this market is going to shake you when it's going to go to 49K, like we've seen here. Exit strategy, right? Like, look for entries now. Look for entries. When the market is down, we have dips. Look for entries. Don't look for exit strategy. Exit strategy is way down the line. Like, what's funny is once it's going to be time for an exit strategy, nobody's going to be asking what is the exit strategy, because this is going to be the last thing on this video, guys, and we're going to wrap it up. You know, here, guys, what people learn is they learn to hold. They learn to find entries. They start to learn about entries. They start to learn about best coins, best narrative. They start to buy and hold because they see everybody from the dips here now is driving Lambos. They were all Gs at the lows, and now they start buying the highs, and they start to be like, hold, and what is entry? I need to find the next thing. And they learn to hold, and by the time they learn to hold, it's too late. It's the bear market. And then here, right, they don't buy because they are freaked out. They have all that trauma from the previous cycle. And then here, once they start to finally make some money, they start to cheat, and they start to ask about exit strategies. And by the time they learn that they see Nero getting listed on Binance, they've already exited the market. And the market is gonna start pumping, and they're gonna learn now, oh, you should hold, you should be looking for entry strategies, you should be holding. And then by the time they learn that, it's the top, and then we're down here, and we repeat that. So remember that most of the people, when they ask about some strategy, it means that they are learning something now, and by the time most people learn something, it's too late. And most people here were asking about exit strategy. So just so you know, here nobody was asking about exit strategies. Everybody was asking what's the next thing, right? Because here Lambos were flashing everywhere on Instagram or whatever app you're using. Crypto was hot. Crypto was loved. Everybody wanted crypto, right? You see private jets and stuff, and crypto and Bitcoin conferences and all that stuff, and people actually wanted to buy. But now you don't see that. So when that time comes, we will see about the exit strategy. For now, guys, really it's down to honing and mastering, finding gems, and the entry strategy. That's the most important. I hope this guys was helpful. This video was helpful. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. You can join my Discord, link in the description. It's free to join. You can also follow me on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.